Have you ever just stopped and wondered why some companies, some leaders, seem to have this incredible influence? I mean, think about Apple or Martin Luther King Jr., or even the Wright brothers. They inspire a kind of loyalty that's, well, it's way more than just about their products or their policies. But then you've got other organizations, sometimes with better funding, smarter people, better products, and they just fizzle out. It's a huge mystery in business and leadership, and it's right at the heart of Simon Sinek's Start With Why. So what is it? What's the secret sauce? Why is it that some people can inspire that kind of devotion, while others, who seem to be doing everything right, just can't? Well, it's definitely not luck, and it's not just about having more money or resources. Turns out there's a pattern, a totally different way of thinking, acting, and communicating that sets these leaders apart. And honestly, once you see it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. Okay, for a perfect example of this, let's just rewind to the race for the first powered flight. On one side, you had Samuel Pierpont Langley. I mean, this guy had the perfect recipe for success, at least on paper. He got a $50,000 grant from the War Department, he had a team of the best minds money could buy, he was all over the newspapers. But here's the thing. He was driven by fame and wealth. He wanted the result. Then, tucked away in a little bicycle shop in Dayton, Ohio, you had the Wright brothers. No funding, no fancy connections, not a single college degree on their team. But they had a cause, a belief. They were absolutely convinced that if they could figure out how to fly, it would change the world forever. And what happened? The Wright brothers took to the skies. And Langley? The second he found out he wasn't going to be first, he just quit. That story right there, it reveals this fundamental pattern, this framework that Sinek calls the golden circle. And it all boils down to how we communicate. This is the key that unlocks why some people truly inspire us, while others just manipulate. Just think about almost any marketing message you've ever heard. Most of them communicate from the outside in. They start with the most obvious thing, what they do. We sell computers. Then they might tell you how they're different. They're user-friendly and have a fast processor. And then they expect you to make a decision. It's fine. It's logical. But it's not very inspiring, is it? But the inspiring leaders and organizations, they completely flip that model on its head. They start from the inside out. They start with why. Think about Apple. Their message is something like, in everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. That's their why. Then comes the how. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. And only then, at the very end, do they get to the what. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? See? It just hits different, doesn't it? So here's the really important part. The golden circle isn't just some clever communication tactic. It's a model that's actually grounded in the way we're built. In fact, it lines up perfectly with the biology of the human brain. And yeah, this isn't just a nice idea. It's straight up biology. The power of starting with why isn't just Sinek's opinion. It's literally rooted in the structure of our brains. This connection is just brilliant. If you look at a cross-section of the brain, it's a perfect match for the golden circle. The what level? That lines up with our neocortex, the newest part of our brain, the part responsible for all our rational, analytical thought and language. But the why and the how, those correspond to our limbic brain. This is the part that controls our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's responsible for all of our decision-making, and guess what? It has zero capacity for language. This is where your gut feelings come from. And that leads us right to Sinek's most famous line. When a company communicates its what, it's talking to your analytical brain. You can understand the features and the benefits, but it doesn't really drive your behavior. But when they communicate their why, they're talking directly to the limbic brain, the part that actually makes the decisions. That's how you build real trust and loyalty. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Okay, so this biological connection is incredibly powerful. But what does it actually look like out in the wild? Let's take a look at how this plays out in the real world. All right, let's talk about the classic case study, TiVo. These guys had a genuinely revolutionary piece of tech, but their pitch was just a laundry list of features, a classic what first message. We have a new product. It pauses live TV. It skips commercials. It rewinds. You get the idea. All very logical, very rational benefits. But just imagine for a second if they had started with why. What if their pitch was something like this? If you were the kind of person who likes to have total control over every aspect of your life, boy, do we have a product for you.
That appeals to your identity, to a belief system. Suddenly, the features that follow aren't just features anymore. They're proof of that belief. It's a message that connects on a much, much deeper level.
And the result? Well, despite having a fantastic product, so good that its name became a verb, TiVo was a commercial disappointment. Why? Because they sold a machine instead of a movement. They sold what they did, not why they did it. And so the vast majority of people never felt that spark, that inspiration to buy in. This really highlights the huge difference between the two ways you can influence people. You have manipulations, things like sales, promotions, fear tactics. And look, they work, but they only drive transactions. They cost a lot, and they create stress. Then you have inspiration. That comes from sharing a belief, a cause, and that's what builds true lasting loyalty. It creates long-term trust and a following of people who are with you for who you are, not just because you offered them a deal. But here's the great, great irony in all of this. Once an organization actually masters this and becomes successful, it runs smack into its single greatest threat, success itself. Sinek calls this the split. See, as an organization gets bigger, its what, the products, the revenue, the number of employees, becomes way easier to measure than its why. The tangible stuff, the metrics, they start to take over. And as that happens, that original founding purpose can get really fuzzy. The passion that started everything slowly gets replaced by process. So how do you even begin to guard against this? Sinek has this simple little thought experiment he calls the school bus test. It's this. If your founder or your main leader was hit by a school bus tomorrow, would the organization's vision survive? To pass that test, the why can't just live in one person's head. It has to be pulled out, articulated, and woven so deeply into the company culture that the vision can easily outlive the visionary. And this is the paradox that sits right at the heart of so many companies that lose their way. Growth and success are the goal, of course, but they are also the biggest threat to the clarity of that original why that made the organization so special in the first place. The focus shifts from the cause to the results, and little by little, the inspiration starts to fade. At the end of the day, this whole framework, this whole idea, isn't just about giant companies or historical movements. It's a challenge, really, to every single one of us. In our careers, in our leadership, in our own lives, we have a choice. We can focus on what we do, or we can start with our purpose, our cause, our belief. And if it's true that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, then really the most powerful question you can ask is, what's your why?